Hey. Welcome to another episode of Ball at All Costs. We've got an exciting guest, and already in the location, I know that Alex is going to be dropping some gems today. But before we get into that, it is literally international break. And it's international break domestically for me because, and for OC and Alex, I believe, because it's the Easter weekend. No football for 2 weeks. For me personally, it's nice to just have a little downtime, spend a little time with the family, look at the cup run when we get back to it, all of that. But before we get into it, as customary on Ball at All Costs, we're just going to dive in. OC, how was last weekend? Are you through? All of that. Are you enjoying the weekend, or are you doing what other parents do, which is literally tournaments every damn day when you could be resting? You know the ones. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Last weekend, what happened? The boys. It was the top of the table, so whoever won that game would have finished top of the group. So I think the other team came and they probably thought that they were gonna do something, but it ended up 4-0. A few bits and pieces on the side from the parents, which I don't know, was it unsavoury? Probably wasn't called for, is what I'd say. But listen, the boys played really well. They delivered. They're through. We're now playing Isaac's old team, Tigers, in the next round. So that'll be a nice little one for him. And by way of football, he hasn't done too much. He had a tournament earlier on in the week, so got his first trophy of the tournament season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am quite conscious of the break, so he's not doing too much. I think next week's a little bit more busy because there's one or two talent IDs he's been invited to. It's his birthday as well, so we're going to Ballers as well. So a bit more busy next week, but. Yeah, well, I think when these times come, I do like to dial back. Not that we're not doing bits, but it's very unstructured. Like he's in the garden, we're just playing two-touch, all that type of thing. So touches of the ball are essential, but all of that travelling and doing this and doing that, we've dialed that right down.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And Alex, I'll come to you first, actually, before I chime in. But being in the academy, and I know we're gonna dive in and get more information. But for now, just on a kind of surface level, are you guys still active? Do you get to take a break during this time? What is it? What's going on for you?
No, we're still active. I wish I could have a break, but I'm not that fortunate. I have my little one, which is under 6, and I spend my time with him. And then I've got Kevin, under 10, which is an academy player, and they still train and they still carry on with the games program. And then as well, doing bits and bobs with Balance, under 7, under 8s. So I'm all over the place now. I was actually waiting for OC to join us in a tournament today, but it was the other team, which, by the way, they beat us in the final, and that was the only goal we'd considered that whole tournament.
Oh my!
Oh, really? Wow!
Really? And don't tell me OC's boy got the winner as well, because that'd just be the icing on the cake.
No, that was the other team they have.
Yeah. Hey, cool. Hey, mate. Well, it sounds very hectic, but so much gems, and I hear you. I actually hear you. It's mad. I guess when you think about academies, it's school, isn't it? It's work. So a lot of work going on with you and your kids there. So
big up to you. Quick one. Big up to you though. Big up to you, because that's commitment to the cause now. Because you said that we're on a break, but you're actually overseas on the mic live with us, and that's dedication, man. So yeah, big up to you.
No, thank you. Yeah, no opportunity to just get away with the fams out here in Turkey. I love Turkey. Been there about 4 times now. So yeah, it was just nice to just catch a little break while you can. But like I was just saying to you guys just before, I think last week they had an opportunity to play. They managed to get a win It was okay. They won 1-0, so they finished second in the group, which was kind of nice after a rocky start. They lost their first game actually, so to finish second was okay, I guess. And then for me, we had the draw in the week of the Festival Cup, and it felt a little bit. I don't really know what they're doing with that. Not to call out the Echo League per se, but in theory, we would be playing, if we were fortunate enough to get through the next round, the round of 16, then we would be playing the team that finished first, if they get through their game, in the quarters. And I just feel surely that game should be being played around the semi-final, final stage, not as early as the quarterfinals. They were just in our group. And I'm sure it's the same for you, OC. If you get past the Tigers, you could be up against the same team that you had in your group, which is a bit mind-boggling for me. But I guess that, the Echo have their reasons for that, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, it's even good. I've been there a couple of days, and it's just good to see local talent out here. And I think we'll get into it on the pod. Me and Alex was talking about it before, but the philosophy in Europe and the philosophy, I would say, back home is so different, and it's already got me thinking on so many things, so many questions, and I'll guess hopefully there'll be an opportunity to kind of share that my learning so far as the pod goes on. But thank you, OC, for acknowledging me and Alex as well. So let's get into it. It's the Academy series. And we're really trying to build up on this because the people want to know. Alex, you're in the hot seat. You're where we want to be. Do you get what I'm saying in terms of the academy experience? I almost say sometimes you're paving the way for us. You're doing the mileage for us so that we don't have to put in, hopefully, not the same amount of work and money as you guys are putting in, the ones who are the forefathers of this, the founders, the ones who are doing it so early on. But Alex, because you've got balance as well, and I guess, excuse the pun, we're going to try and balance this. We need to know about the academy side, but it would also be good to know about balance. So I think it makes sense to start off with, how did you get to where you are? Give us a bit about you, your background. You can it would be good to touch on balance, and then tell us how we find your son into the kind of academy space.
But it wouldn't be fair if I wouldn't say that my son got me into this. So I played professionally myself. I went all the way to under 16 playing, representing my country.
Wow.
And then because of my coach's background, I kind of fell out of love with football. So I leave it to the sides. Fast forward, moved to UK 2013. Mm-hmm. I had a little boy. Bless him, he couldn't kick a ball. But he said, I sent the video to OC, he saw the video, like he was miss-kicking the ball, and he said, I want to play ball. I said, fine. So every day, I got digging back into old memories. So I put out drills, cones, footballs. I bought all the equipment and everything. I couldn't even find the team at under 8. Everyone I was talking to, they said, oh, he's not ready. If he's not a bowler, we don't want him. We don't want him. So I started working with him on my own. We got into a local grassroots team. We played there 3 months. We moved to another one, another 3 months. That while he was playing up a year. And then we meet Kenzer at Balance. Since we met him, he got scouted left and right that season. So last season, under 9 season. We went into Ipswich Pre. They saw him a little bit. They said, it's not for that place. So now it was signing day for under 9s, and we got sent to Colchester. But I didn't think he was ready. He moved the ball well. He's a bowler, but the decision wasn't there. The quick decision making they're looking for, and the fast thinking. So I said, do you know what? I'm not going to let him join. I'll keep him with me another year, which I've done brilliantly. So I didn't let him join at under 9. I kept him with me. West Ham came after him after a few months. Arsenal came after him. Spurs came after him, but no one kind of decides yet. They invited us over for few training sessions here and there. West Ham was giving us the Emerging Talent Center, which is just below the academy. So we went there. It wasn't my cup of tea. The players there, the coaches, I didn't think he was gonna fit the kind of player that I'm raising. So I said, I'm gonna take him out. If he's good enough, someone's gonna come and get him. He doesn't need to stay in the Emerging Talent Center or the evening centers and so on. So now we've been invited into Colchester with Balance. We had the fixtures over there. He's done brilliantly. And I was expecting this. Kenza gave me a call. He said, they want your details. We went over. In the same time, Arsenal was still interested in him. We've been called over to go and train again. But because this opportunity came, we went over at Colchester. I don't know if it's a coincidence or 2 weeks into the trial, we was meant to play Arsenal. And I was talking to the scouts back and forward, and they said, we want to see him, how he does against our boys. So I thought, all right, if he does well, perhaps they're going to make a decision before Colchester do. All the other age groups played, apart from the under 10. So under 10, they cancelled the game. The other age groups played. Come Monday, sat in the office with the lead foundation phase, and we got the offer. And now, for me, I was happy, and I recognized for them to offer after 2 weeks, it gets to show that they appreciate my boy very well. So I left my decision to him. He's been there 2 weeks. He knows some of the boys. Some of the boys been at Ipswich pre with him. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to go. Fine. It's up to you. If you want to go, I'll let you go. And we've been with them since last summer. So he's been offered before the under 9 season finished. And we've been full on now.
Wow. Brilliant, brilliant. Alex, I'm going to just take you back a step. You know, I don't know if you've seen the pod. We between me and OC, we're going to throw some questions at you. The first thing that kind of stood out for me when you were kind of sharing was the fact that you decided that he wasn't ready. And I just want to know from your perspective, what was it? Because you said it was about decisions. I'm not going to lie to you. Even now, my son's under 11. I would say in his team and in the league itself, I think decision-making is very poor. Like, it drives me bonkers. And I don't see people really trying to address decision-making enough. I don't know if it was decision-making. I'm just assuming. What was it about your son that made you feel he wasn't ready at the time?
There is a backstory to this, because when I started into this journey with him, I wanted to know what the academies are looking at. So I went, I've done all my badges, I've done the scouting level 1, scouting level 2, I've done the UEFA license, I've done all of that just to see what they're looking at. Because I felt as if there's kids that walk in through academy doors that it's not as good as others, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
I know bowlers in Eco League now that they can walk into an academy, but because the opportunity is not there for them, they can't do it. So I got into learning, and I just watch my son from an outside perspective, like I wasn't his dad. If I was to watch him every single time he train and he play a game, what would I want him to do? So when the ball arrived to him, I wanted to see, did you look before? Did you take a touch, or did you play straight away? Because in theory, and I had this conversation with Phil, a good player with me will take a touch, will look around and will play the ball. But great player will play that ball straight away because he knows where he needs to travel. So I'm asking my kids as well, even the 7s and 8s, when I have a training session, I put that out there and I say, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the good player or the great player? And that gets them to think and how they move the ball around and how they make their decision going forward. So for me, when he was under 9, that decision wasn't there yet. And together with Kenza, we put, same like the academy, an ILP, independent learning plan. He needs quicker decision making, more ball striking. I said, fine, I'm getting into it. take a ball into the goal mouth, 100 shots on the left, 100 shots on the right. Repeat. Just the technique with the laces, with the inside, with the outside. We done that, done and dusted. And then on the decision making, it was my job to put on sessions. So I've done individual free sessions for the kids to come and join us, so I can have competition for him. So when I worked on the decision making, most of the time kids spend time on the ball in front of the target, forgetting about the pressure. So when you think on a 1v1, it's just the pressure from the front. But what if I make another one chase you from the back? Will you react quicker? Will you decide quicker? So that's how I started thinking my session. How can I develop these kids to what they need, not what I need from them, what they need to make it to the top level. So yeah, I spent a year with him. I've done that, and he is where he is now.
I love that. And, clearly, you present someone who knows the game. You just have this kind of energy that, I can feel it. And even though we're just getting to know each other now, there's so many things, and I'm so looking forward. So the other question, Alex, I'm going to ask before I hand over to OC, you've probably heard us talk about it, and I'm going to put my hands up. I'm probably one of the biggest culprits of this, is the fact that you had a choice between Colchester and potentially Arsenal. And a lot of the advice that we're hearing from grassroots and for certain clubs, they will say, don't rush into Colchester. Like, if you've got Arsenal there, wait for an Arsenal to come along. And I hear you, because you said, you kind of left that decision with your son. And I respect the fact that you supported your son with that. But again, what was it about? Because I still believe, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, because of how you present, I still think you had to kind of semi-agree with it. I don't believe if you didn't agree Colchester would be a good fit, that you would just allow your son to just go with that. So being on the circuit, everyone is so obsessed with Cat 1. You had Arsenal literally looking. You're about to kick ball. Your son's about to play against Arsenal with Colchester. Game didn't happen for whatever reason. And then on the Monday, you're pretty much signing papers for Colchester. I guess what is the process? Why did you make that decision? And if that makes sense.
It took me a while. It took me a while, and this come back to Kenzer, and when we was doing the mentoring session, and we was talking about the fact that all the Cat ones have like 3 teams, 20, 25 players, 27 players, and unless you're in the top 4 boys, the development is not going to be around you. It will never be. You will be a number there. You will go and train. And that was it. Whilst if you go to a smaller club, if you do well, you're going to go places where you need to go, no matter where that be. And for me, success with Kevin, success as a football player will be if you still love football when you're 20. If you still play football when you're 20, 22, 25, no matter the league. Because before he is a football player, he is a person. And I want him to be happy. I'm not chasing for him to be a professional footballer. That's something that he wants to do. And for me, I can't restrict him into that. I know he loves Arsenal to bits. He would have loved to have the offer before. But in the same time, I know how much he loved it while he was in trial at Colchester and how well he glued with the boys over there. So yeah, I kind of agree with it, but I let the decision came from him because I didn't want to say no. I'm not gonna let you go. I've done it at the under 9, and he was mutual, and I said I'm not gonna let you do this and that. This is my rationale behind. But now I let him have it.
Fair. And you know what? That's quite bold. I don't know how many of our listeners, even with the kind of example you gave or your answer, who have the kahunas, as it were, to make that decision. I'm not saying that your decision is a bad decision. It's a great decision, and it's clear that what we as parents need to be thinking about and we've heard it a few times on this pod, but sometimes you can hear something, but hearing and doing is two different things. The point you're making is you just got to go where it fits. And that is the key message. Wherever you see fit, forget the name, forget the institution. Can you see your child develop in this place? If your child can develop in this place, then it's a no-brainer over and above the name of the institution. So I hear you, and I big up Alex. I respect that. OC, I do.
You know what? Just big up to Balance. Because obviously we had Kenza and Phil on. Go and watch that show. But it's a solid community of professionals within there. Because just when I was speaking with Alex before, just on the Instagram, we had a few interactions. Like, I knew that he was proper. Like, I could tell. I was like, I know that he's going to be like a very good guest. And I think you've dropped smoke just since you've come in now. I just feel like, I just want to big up that whole community over at Balance, because you guys have got something going on there, which is really good. Question I've got is, when you said that your son couldn't really kick a ball and now he's playing academy football, when did he start to play football, like, properly?
When he was unrestricted. So the first time I took him, he was guided. I call these puppeteer coaches, giving instruction behind. Do this, go there, do that, pass the ball, go into the space. So we took him away from there and we joined another team, and I'm going to say big up John at Tollsbury. We took him there, still playing a year up. He didn't say anything. He gave problems to the kids and he let them solve it. He stepped back and he let them solve it. Because when you talk about principles of game and you talk attacking, penetration, it's not always passing. You can do that by dribbling into space. And he was unrestricted there. And working alongside me and then moving into Balance with Kenza and giving feedback of what he needs to be improved on that monthly mentoring session that we had, it helped him massively. There was points where I didn't see what he saw, and points where I saw what he didn't. So when we talk about he needed lots of more ball striking, well, where are you going to play him to give him that opportunity? I'll play him in the midfield. I'll play him in the middle because that's where you get the ball all the time. And when we talk about ball striking, it could be a short pass or a long pass or a diag or a cross. So that's what I done for him. Then when we was talking about dribbling, where can you put him to express himself freely? He said, well, we will let him play on the wing. So we've done that. We play him on the wing. And I think to this point, most of the parents don't understand the importance of rotating around and playing different key roles, whether it's academy or grassroots. You will get to see the game from different perspective, and you get different qualities from each position.
Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting one. There's a couple of bits that you just mentioned there. One is you might be on the sideline and the parents are like, oh, coach isn't really saying too much. Like, why are they not giving instructions? I've fallen foul of that once or twice before, actually, but that is when you're giving onus and giving freedom for the kids to explore the game and figure out their own solutions and really grow. So I feel like obviously there is space, and there certainly is time where there would need to be some communication, but they may be cues, or they may be certain things that you've spoken directly with that individual player about. So I like that, and I also like the rotation of positions. There's many parents that are like, my son's a striker, why is he playing at the back, or why is he playing on the wing? But
that's another thing that, sorry to interrupt, Osi, that's another thing that I partly agree for him to go into academy football, because most of the academy coaches won't give you the instructions. He will let you figure it out. Hence why when you go 12, 13, 14, 15, if you develop that within yourself, you will progress further. But no one will take your hand and guide you through. He will give you problems in training, So think about this. The practices that you have in the week is your classroom, is your lessons. And then in the weekend, when you have the game, is your exam. No one should be talking to you on that exam. You should be showing what you've been learning during the weekend. And if I'm not saying anything as a coach, I won't allow any of my parents to do so, or any other parents. And to the flip side, because we talked earlier, we've been to a tournament and we made it so far up. Things got heated and everyone was started to coach from the sidelines, and I'm not flipping up easy, but this time I started shouting. I said, parents, let them play. I know you all want to win the game, but let them play. They are kids and they enjoy the football. For the next 5 minutes, I could have heard the players communicate. I could have given them instruction of what can you see, what next. The other coach could have talked to his kids. That's the football we want, and that's the football we love.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just in terms of my initial question, when did your boy play before the under-7 season, or was the under-8 season his first season?
No, he was under-8 playing into under-9. He wasn't playing as an under-7.
Okay. So I'm imagining that he was very raw before the under-8 season, and now he's in the academy. I'm just trying to understand. I know that you've worked in balance and you've taken him out, but what has that development looked like in terms of his training? What have you focused on? How has he become as technical and as good as he has in the space of 2 years? Most kids that we know on the circuit and academies, they start when they're 4. They start when they're 5 is probably late, to be honest. So just trying to understand what it is that you did to get him up to that level.
Every single time we had a session or a game, I praised the effort and the willingness to try over and over again. And that got him to try bits every single time. And then we're fortunate enough that I'm homeschooling both of my kids. So in the morning, we have the same schedule. We either go for a run, we do plyometrics, stretching, we do mobility work. And then if he says, should we go kick a ball? I'll take a ball. I'll put on a session that I need for him to develop. And we're going out. And then at night, he will have another session with his coaches. But I never coach his team. I coached him as an individual. I don't think I could ever coach my son in a group of boys where I'm going to have parents thinking he's going to have preferential treatment. So I gave that to Kenza. But apart from that, we've been working every single day. And before I turned him into a football player, I knew England needs athletes. So I made sure I made him an athlete. I took him out running since he was 8. And we've done the first charity run as a half marathon. When he was 8, he ran 21k into a December cold rain with me, raising money for BBC Children in Need. And then under 9, I said, what's next? What do you have next? So I let him pick goals. He said, let's do an Ironman. I said, you can't do an Ironman. It's like, let's be honest, we can start with a speed triathlon. So we've done that. We've done 500 meter swim, 21 K run, and then 5K on the bike as well. But yeah, I made sure I turned him into an athlete before, because that's what England needs, unfortunately. But at the same time, I worked on the technicality bit. And there's a lot of ball mastery, ball manipulation session that I had with him.
So do you feel at the moment, just from what you see around the circuit on the gram, do you feel like we're missing that element of the athlete? Because sometimes I hear that technical, this kid's so technical, but then there's a flip about what the kid needs to be able to cover ground. And I just want to understand your thoughts about the landscape. Like, are we actually building athletes as well as ballers, or is it mainly just technical players that we're trying to build?
But I had this discussion with someone at a Cat 1 Academy, and they actually had some complaints that the Premier League said to all the academies that they don't develop strikers anymore, because that's what they do now. They're looking to kids that can cover ground up and down the pitch, and I understand that when you're under 7, 8, 9 and you play 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side, but then when you go into an 11-a-side, unless you're a box-to-box midfielder, you don't need to cover that much ground. if you're a fullback or you're a centre back or even a striker, you need to know a lot more about positioning than you need to work up and down the pitch.
Yeah, I like that. I like that take. I like that take. Yeah, that's got me thinking. What I want to understand as well is, like, how do you? So you touched on it a moment ago, but how do you speak to your boy? Because what it sounds like is he started late. He came into the academy, and like within 2 weeks he was offered. So it's coming across to me like this was a boy brimming of confidence. He knew his abilities, and he went in and he delivered. I just want to understand, as a father, how is it that you communicate to your boy? Is it very much balance where you're picking out the faults? The faults and the positives, or?
My wife will say I'm a bit rough on him, but at the minute I'm trying to build respect, resilience, and structure. I have time to be friends with him a little bit later on. We're still friends, we get along perfectly, but before that, if football is something that you want to do, fine. If you don't do it the best of your ability, don't do it at all. So what I say about when we go into a training or a game, I say, why are you here today? I'm here to dominate. Fine, go and do your thing. Does it matter whether you win a game on a Sunday? No, it matters how hard I work. So that's why I want to hear from him, and that's why I want to build into him.
Yeah, mentality is key. Mentality.
Then, when we finish with the game, he comes home, put on a piece of paper, what did I do well? What can I do better next time? So I keep him accountable on that piece of paper. At the end of the year, we go through the piece of paper he made at the beginning of the year with all the action that he wants to take for the year. He wants to play a year up, fine, let's do that. He wants to dominate a year up, fine, let's do that. So he made the plan for the next 6 years up until to under 16, and I think his goal is to play for England under 16. So along the way, I'll keep him accountable, but I will help him in the same time.
I love that. And why not? Goal setting is so important. These are life skills. We talk about football a lot, but actually playing football, being part of the team, is about life skills. And in my kind of day job, I talk about goal setting, the importance of setting goals, and the fact that you're already doing it with a 10-year-old is a great life skill for them to have moving forward. Alex, there's a couple of things I just want to touch on quickly,
Yeah.
And if you don't feel comfortable answering those questions, just don't, and we'll move on. It's not a problem at all. The first one is, I've noticed there's quite a few parents in our area who are taking the leap to homeschool. I just want to know whether that is a personal decision or is that a football-related decision, if that makes sense.
No, it was never about football.
Okay.
I think I can build more value with him than the school does.
Okay.
And that's just my personal opinion. Because some people will say, well, how do you do it? Well, we still have tutors. Every morning for me, even now in half term, we're still doing school. So every morning when we wake up, we've got maths and English, mandatory. Forget about the rest. Because if he decides to take the GCSE later on, he's going to have a base for it. But at the same time, we're doing AI, automation. He's doing investing. He's got his investment portfolio. He's doing Canva. He's reading loads of books on how to build businesses, and he takes action and he creates businesses from scratch. So I think I can build more value with them at home than the school does. And why not? Because in our culture, we like to have family together. So my wife stays at home, and if she stays at home and she's thumbs up for it, why not? There's nothing more important than the family in this world. And I will have maybe 16 summers with them. I want to take a full advantage of that.
Yeah, fair. No, I you know what? And on another pod, we'll talk about that, because I love the kind of holistic thinking around schooling. It's something that in my day job is something I'm looking into and wanting to do. But, I picked up on that because there's a lot of parents now who I believe are homeschooling so that their kid can do more training. And I wanted to understand the philosophy, but I'm glad in a way that yours is based on your own kind of mindset and philosophy, and it's not linked to football. It just so happens that your son plays football. You would have done this regardless of whether your son was playing football or not, right?
No, and it's a priority for me.
Yeah.
Every hour of school he does, he earns a token, and
Okay.
a training token for him is 5 training tokens. So 5 hours of school. Unless he's done that the whole day, he ain't going to training that night.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen many times, but it happened 2 times. And Kenzer asked me, "You coming tonight?" I said, "No, why not this? Unless you have something for him, I will bring him." And then, thanks to Kenza, he said, "Tell him to write on a piece of paper what does it mean for him to be a leader, and bring it to me." So I've done that. I read it. I said, "You think you can do better than this?" He said, "Yeah, do another one." He's done another one. I sent it to Kenza, and then he said, "Yeah, it's all good. Bring him to training." That was pretty much the only time I had the problem with him like that. But if you homeschool, it's gonna be tough. Don't take this decision just because he's doing football, because football is something that they do,
Yeah.
and it's so much uncertainty. Before he's a football player, he's a kid, and you need to set him up for success in life. That's the hardest thing we do as parents. We grow up teaching our kids how to be independent of us, not to need us anymore. And for me, that hurts, because they're gonna go into the real life and they're not gonna need me anymore. But that's what we need to do.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And then quickly, I just want to lean back onto another question. Do you think, no, let me ask this question before, and then I'll ask this because it will lean into where I want you to take us. But I wrote here, are we losing the art of the game? And this was based on what you were talking about when you said, unfortunately, it's athletes in England. What did you mean by unfortunately? Do you go, yeah.
British football was always physically dominant, but now the game evolves. And you can see how it evolves when you watch German players or Spanish players. Like, they took away the physicality part of the game by not giving you time to come and defend that ball off from them. That means they're moving the ball quicker. They always find a better space to receive the ball and not have any pressure around them. So that's football IQ they do with them. As of now, all you hear is stay in the battle, win your 1v1s, stronger, don't let him body you. So yeah, I think it's very physical, and you can see for the kids that are not so developed physically, but they are very smart, and I have few players like that. They don't stand a chance in this game.
So, Alex, what side of the fence do you sit on? I think people who watch Ball at All Costs already know my pet peeve, my bugbear. As someone who grew up in Romania, you played at international level. Give us a picture of what an ideal training program could look like. So I'm saying, is it, what would be the ideal learning, you teach? So what would be the ideal program?
That's why I asked you if you notice any differences in Europe, because where I grew up, parents are not allowed at the training sessions.
Okay.
So you have the kids with the coach. You're so far away you can't even see them. You will see them when they finish.
Yeah.
So not having their dad saying, "Be stronger, that's not good enough, what's wrong with you?" Not having that there, you've got time to develop. I'm not saying the kids don't need guidance sometimes, because some of them they do to reach their potential.
Yeah.
But the coaches will do that.
Okay.
So I'm not leaning to one side or another. I'm saying what I'm doing with them. I want to build the kids that they can deal with the pressure of a game without me being there. I don't need to tell them to track back. I don't want them to say, "Win your 1v1." I don't want to say anything. I want to just enjoy the game. So should they. So one of the cat ones that I've been recently with the younger ones, it gives responsibility to the kids from the warm-up. Go set yourself the warm-up. They all do it. They do a possession game. They do some shooting. Coaches don't even get involved. They lean back. And then they give them full responsibility and voice on the pitch. Because when you're quiet, suddenly all started to talk between them. It will be a chain of communication from the striker all the way to the goalkeeper, because that's all you can hear, their voices. So that's what I would like to see more. I would like to see this more, where you give ownership to the players and you give them the freedom to play for.
Yeah. I mean, you're hitting me. Those who know me well, I have a loud voice on the sideline, and I hear you. I guess I think sometimes the analogy I used to use is when you're driving a car, you need your instructor to kind of guide you. You can't just get in the car and drive, But once you know how to fully drive, then the instructor allows you to drive. But what it sounds like you're saying is allow the kid to drive from the off. But also, we're relying a lot on the kids then, in my view. The reason being is there are some kids that perform by being G'd up on the side by the parent. You can see it. Without the parent there, they don't reach their full potential. What happens? Does that mean we lose that child potentially?
Did you see any of these players get into academy? Just quick question.
The ones that get G'd up. Some have, I guess. Some.
Because then, if the voice is not going to be there to guide him, what then? So are we building players that they are relying on instructions, or are we building players that will solve problems? Because imagine this, you're a player, you're in the middle of the pitch, ball comes into you, you now have parents, your dad or your mom or other parents shouting pass or shoot or don't dribble, that's not the time. Where is your decision as a player? Like, how am I learning the game if I'm guided through the whole process the whole time? And even if you have a good coach, will you have that coach for the rest of your life to guide you?
Fair.
What if you move to a different team, or he gives up coaching because he has a newborn and he cannot take the team anymore? What then? I'm not the same player because I have no one to guide me on the sidelines?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's very, very interesting, because I think some managers on the circuit are perceived to be good managers because they give instructions and their team plays in such a picturesque way. But a lot of it is just guidance, and almost like PlayStation, where the players are playing on command based on what you say. But I think, just to drop into your analogy, Deji, the instruction should be taking place throughout the week during their coaching sessions.
Exactly.
Throughout the week during their coaching sessions, because when it comes to the game, listen, I've fallen foul of it. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, I'm a little more quiet than what I used to be. But there'll be a time in the game where I might say, "Oh, why don't you why are you passing there? Why don't you run it in?" This type of thing. But what we're saying is that as you're progressing through the game, this is grassroots. As you're progressing through the game, through to the academy, and then beyond to the pro game for some select ones, that instruction needs to directly come from them. Like, it needs to come from them, because they can't really. They're not going to hear the parents in the academy scene. The coaches are very mute within the academies, and then if they're playing in the stadium, they're not really hearing the manager talk either. Like, they need to be able to make those decisions. So some of these kids that were saying they're G'd up and they like that thing from the side, there's like a dependence and a reliance on that, which we need to wean our kids off if that's something that we do, because it's in the long term and short term, it's detrimental, because they can't learn what they need to learn on the pitch. Sometimes the players standing behind them, 7-a-side is no offside, they haven't checked their shoulders, but I might shout out, check your shoulder behind you, yeah. But maybe that goal needed to go in for that learning to take place. You understand?
Exactly.
So that's it's very, very important. But it's right within the game. So
That's why you don't hear many academy coaches talking on the sidelines. You will have every now and again one that will try. Perhaps it's at the beginning of his journey. Perhaps this is how he done it. But yeah, that's why they mostly quiet. They try to develop these kids to not rely on any instructions, because when you go on the big stage, it's gonna be you with your own thoughts and with your own decision making.
yeah, yeah. Let me drop a couple of questions in. My question, something that you touched upon earlier, you said that it comes across like you have been taking control of your child's development, and I think you mentioned something about that's not the player that I'm raising, as it were. And I know not everybody that's listening to this has the same level of skill or experience that you have. But my question is, how do parents take more control of their child's journey?
I don't think everyone can spot what their son are doing on the football pitch. So you should take control and help him out, but I don't think everyone can spot what they need to be working on. If you've been into football and you know football people around you, because you spot them from a while, they quiet, they sit on the side, they watch their kid play, they know what they're looking at. If you've never done football and you played cricket your whole life and your son started playing football, what are you gonna notice? You might have an idea of what you watched on the TV and how Premier League players are playing, but this is no Premier League, and not all of them gonna get to the Premier League. Maybe some they will go in Bundesliga, maybe some they will play non-league, which is different football.
It's so interesting actually, because as you mentioned it a few times, but anytime you speak to a pro or you hear their view on their child and the game, is very relaxed. Very relaxed. Most of them will say, listen, I just go, I just watch. Don't really even say too much. I might ask them a few questions about how they thought they played, what they could do better, and then that's it. It's done. And it's interesting.
We had a tournament in the summer and we had Danny Rose, his boy, playing against us at Chelsea, and I swear, he bring a chair, fold down chair, he put it down, snap back, just like this, for the whole day. He didn't even flinch. He didn't say anything, looking on the phone. That's it, you've done well. That's it, let's go home. Because it's about his son, it's not about him. And that car journey, if it doesn't do well, do you really want to fracture your relationship with your son if you have a go at him? Or it's been tough enough, why do you need to say anything? So
yeah. You know what? You have spoken about it and you sprinkled it across the whole show so far. But in terms of parents identifying the right space, the right coach, the right program, what advice would you give to a parent that wants to get their kid to the academy? Their kid has a dream of becoming a pro. What should they be looking out for in terms of environments?
I can't tell other parents what to do. I'm going to tell you what I've done with mine. I think it's very important to realize when your son is thriving, is he happy where he's at, and if he's developing. And then what I've done the same, if he's the best in that age group, have you got anything left to learn? If you're the best one there, or should you go somewhere where you should be at the bottom and learn from other good players? And I know this bounced back because you've been talking about this on the podcast last week with Alex Deji. Chelsea come out with a conveyor belt of players. And now, while you go to a Cut 2 and Cut 3 and being top of the group over there, and you might go over to Chelsea, I still think if you walk into the academy over there and you're at the bottom, you have a better chance to develop. Because you play against stronger players, better players, and you're going to develop. But at the same time, it might throw away that love for football from you. If you're not a resilient kid and you don't come with parent support, that's going to bounce back on you. If your dad or mom is having a go at you in the car because you didn't do well, that's not going to work out well. But if you have support around this, support with coaches, support with the parents, you're going to thrive in there. Even if you're at the bottom of the group, you're going to rise into ranks and you're going to compete. It's the same with the grassroots coaches. Wherever you go, see if he's thriving, see if he is enjoying, see if the coach has something about him, about football. Ask him question. Why do you do this? Why do you play him there? What are you looking at when you play him at the back? You said your son is a striker. Am I playing centre back for a few weeks? What are you looking at? If he's giving you a reasonable answer, he's a good coach. If he's got no clue about it, perhaps you should change your view on that and move to another team. That's how I treated it. Because Kevin, when he went into the balance team, he didn't even make it to the top ones. He's done the trial in the first day, and then in the second day, we had the tournament. We left the house 6 o'clock in the morning. We drove to Luton. We played the whole day of football, and then the trial for the second part was at 5 o'clock in the evening. So I took him there. He wasn't brilliant, but still, Kansas said he's got something about him. We're gonna put him into the emerging program. He's done 2 or 3 weeks there, and he walked into the first team. So it's the resilience. How are you gonna bounce back as a kid? What are you gonna say when nothing goes your way? When everything goes against you? Are you gonna crack, or are you gonna carry on? I tell to my 7s and 8s all the time when it gets tough, there's 2 things you can do about it. You can cry about it, or you can do something about it. So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna do something about it. There you go.
Yes, what you said, it resonates with me so much, but I almost feel like within this grassroots landscape, there aren't many environments that really care and focus on the individual. The vast majority of teams at the top, and even at the bottom, they just want to win games.
That's how it is. Winning for development or winning for the badge. Like, what do you want to do? Because business-wise, for them, it's more relying to win and produce this so they can go cut 3, cut 2, cut 1 to send players left and right. Because winning gets people through the door. It gets you more kids, it gets you more scouts. And at the end of the day, that's what the parents want. They want to turn up on a game. They want to win. Because at the end of the game, if you ask the kids if you ask any kid if he's bothered about winning or losing, he's gonna forget about it in 5 minutes. He's not gonna care. He's there to play ball.
That's so funny actually, because the parents they're on a mad one. I remember we were coaches. I was doing a bit with Tigers for a few seasons, and we had a good team. And I remember, I think we might have drawn 3 or 4 in a row, and one of the parents was like, "Mate, we just got to get back to winning ways, you know."
They were like, sack him.
We got to get back to winning ways because it's going to start impacting the kids, this and that. And I remember just like watching the kids doing their warm up over there, thinking, "Listen, these kids, they don't remember what happened last week. Like it doesn't resonate with them at all." So I feel like a lot of that winning and that pressure comes from the parents and it filters into the coaching. But whilst I want to win as much as anyone, it has an adverse effect when the parent is like, "Oh, we need to be winning, we need to be winning, we need to be winning." Because it's the kids. What I say and how I coach it's my job to develop the kids individually and collectively so they understand how to operate the team dynamic. But it's the kids' job to go and win. So I instill that desire within them, like, you know what, wanting to win is everything. Sorry, winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. So you instill that winning mentality within the kid, but you're giving the kids individual actions that they need to try and complete within a game, because you know that's adding to the overall development picture.
Yeah.
But like I don't think I can probably like less. I can't think of many environments in the grassroots that
Can I just say? Can I just ask something though of Alex and of you, OC, as well? Because picking up on that, I do feel like the kids' game is no longer a kids' game. I think the kids' game is been professionalized by the parents, and what I mean by that is results matters to parents now. And you know, Alex just said it. If you're getting the results, it means you get more kids through the door. If you have more kids through the door, it means you've got more revenue. It means you've got more eyes on you. You've got more scouts. And I want to ask Alex, being in the academy space, we heard before that results didn't matter. Is that still the case? Because we're now starting to hear that grassroots teams are coming in and beating some of these academy teams, Cat 2s, Cat 3s, and the parents are going bonkers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're going mad. Like, what do you mean you're going to let some grassroots come in? Is that starting to? I don't know. I guess the question is just following on. Is that happening at where you're at or around you? Are the parents, and I say we the parents, are we professionalizing the kids' game so much that we have lost focus? Because we're saying like, yeah, it's easy to say, you know, OC, you just said it, you know, 4 draws and people asking questions. It's happened. I know if our team had 3 losses in a row, parents are walking out the door. It's straight up. So let's not beat about the bush here. So yeah, Alex, if you
Yeah, it's still happening. Like, you will never walk into an academy and they will have their best boy in a team. It will never happen. They will mix the abilities based on their individual learning plan and what they need. So when you hear teams that they went into X and Y and they beat that team, they didn't really beat their academy. And I'll give an example. We took the under-7s to Ipswich 2 times. We came away with the win every single time. If Ipswich wanted to prevent that, they would have put their best boy in the team and I wouldn't stand the chance. Same will be for the West Hams. Same will be for any other place I've been at. There's nothing that they can take away if they do that. As opposed as if you have a grassroots team walking into the door, right, how can I improve my players? So they're looking at that first. They're looking at who needs more minutes and where, and that's what they're going to play. And it doesn't matter for them if you say to someone that you went and beat Crystal Palace or Colchester or Arsenal. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't affect them. And people can talk as much as they want. You're still outside and they're still focusing on the boys that they're over there.
Yeah.
So it's still the case, yeah. Even in tournaments, you go at the tournaments and you will see, I know most of the kids at under 9, under 10, and you look and you only recognize maybe 1 or 2, and then the rest, they late signings or maybe trialists.
Okay.
When they go and play the Premier League tournaments, however, that's different ball game. Because you look at Chelsea, is winning everything across the board. West Ham does a brilliant job as well. But that comes after under 11, after the foundation phase. Foundation phase fosters that love for football, and then you go into competitive football when you move into a bigger pitch.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me. So, okay, foundation phase. Yeah, your child is under 9, under 10, under 11. Missed the pre-academy, that initial signing, so they're sitting grassroots. If the kid is at a level where they can play academy football, where they can go in for a trial and the likelihood is that they might be successful, what's your perspective of getting the kids into the academy now? Do you think that development is going to be better within that environment than the grassroots before the youth development phase?
I think there's no difference now. If you have good grassroots coaches, especially in the Eco League, you see some incredible coaches. But I think it's all about luck if you don't know anyone. Because if you're a striker and you get a West Ham scouts coming to watch the game and you do well, but they already have 3 like you, you're not gonna make it. Whilst if you have Palace coming to watch you and they just released one, or they need a more clinical one, and they watched you that day, that's your ticket to go and prove yourself.
Yeah, so if the opportunity is there, providing the environment is a good environment, would you suggest take it, challenge your kids, test the kids?
Yeah, I will say to any of my kids, take it, go there. It doesn't matter if you get the opportunity to get signed or not. It will build resilience into yourself. You go there, you see, you get the opportunity for 6 weeks to experience the best football in the country. You travel to the best facilities. The kit is bringed over to the locker room to you. You feel like a superstar for 6 weeks. You get a feeling of how it is inside, and at the same time, what does it take for you to be part of that?
Oh, so do you mind me chiming in as well? Sorry,
Yeah,
just to kind of throw in some questions, because I think I can ask this question. So, Alex, we're going to use you also to kind of address some of the questions that parents have messaged me, asked me. So, one of the big things, and I think you mentioned it, you said earlier in the pod that, you know, if they're good, it will show. But there's also something about parents feeling like they're like, how do you navigate a space where parents feel like they might be locked in? There are academy players who feel like they've done the year there, they've done 2 years there. They feel like their child is the best in their age group, whatever cap that is, and they would like to move and they can't move. What would your advice be, or what is your thinking behind that? Do they just stick with it? That's the decision that you made? Because these are issues now that are, I don't want to say issues, but these are things that are happening where parents are in Cat 3, they're in Cat 2, they've realized maybe my son, my daughter could go up a notch if possible, and they're hoping that a club might come and buy them, but also a club might not come and buy them. What would you say to a parent? How would you navigate that? Sorry, it's a left field one.
I think they forget in the first place that that's the team that opened the doors for them first. That's first of all, and then second, what happens if no one comes and buy him? Will it affect your life? Is that all that matters for yourself? Is it your dream for your son to make it and you can brag about it? What happens if he's gonna stay with that team? Is he bad? If he would have been that bad, you would not let him join in the first place.
Yeah, for real.
What happens if you take him out completely? Would it be better? So ask yourself questions. Would it be better to stay? Would it be better to go? I know for my son that he's thriving, and we've been talking about not emphasizing on winning. We have tough days on a Sunday. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. I can see the development. I can see him hit channels like proper balls. I can see what they're doing with him. So I'm happy with that. And for me, the result don't matter as long as it does good. And if it does good and it creates waves and everyone hears about this one kid that is doing bits and bobs, they're gonna come take him. Because Cat 2 and Cat 3, that's how they survive.
Yeah.
Selling players to Cat 1 left and right.
I hear that. And can I ask, you say your son is thriving, because again, we hear that a lot. Is it thriving based on what you know of the game, or are you able to talk to the coaches, or the coaches have given you a plan, like a bit like what you did at Balance, that you work towards? Because often we hear that in the academy, the coaches don't talk to you, you can't talk to the coach, you're kind of just there, you're not contributing, and you're just kind of hoping they don't let you go. Do you get what I'm saying? Is that your experience? Are you just there? Are you hoping? You think he's doing well, but you don't know you don't know if he's doing well. How do you know? Do you know what I mean?
It's not like that. No, not at all. And it's not the end of the world if he gets released. Like if he's happy with what he does, I'm gonna support that. But I know what to talk to the coaches, because my boy is a box to box, and I know him. He's gonna run for days. He's gonna find some incredible passes. And when we signed with this cat too, he played as a centre back for a long time. Long time. And I tried to understand the reasoning behind. So what they looking at? And I had a chat with them, and they said, right, we played him at the back, and also we played him as a pivot. In the bigger game, when you move to 11 aside, what do you have in front of you? The wingers, the cam, and the striker. What does he have in front of him now, where I play him? Exactly that. So I say, that's a very good point. And also, because we need him to carry the ball forward and connect the back line with the forward line, I made him take the ball from the goalkeeper all the time. He will take the ball on a half turn. What can you connect? So I trusted that, and I loved it to bits.
Fantastic. Is that unique to you though? Because when I often hear of parents who are in the academy, I don't know, and it'd be good for people to comment in the chat. If your child is in the academy, do you have the same sort of relationship like Alex has, where he's getting feedback, or was it different for you where you just didn't know where your child stood? Because it sounds like you had an access that I don't know if other people have that level of access, or is it that's normal where you are?
So everyone will have a parents meeting. In the academy system, it's going to be every 6 months. But before that, don't feel at any point that you can't touch base with the coach. It's always going to be the case with whether it's the lead foundation phase or someone you can ask questions because he's your son. And I suggest you ask if you have questions. My agreement when we shook hands and we started this journey was, will you share with me what you want to do with him so I can also help him on the sides? Rather than be just one, it will be two working on the same thing, because I might work on something different and you work on something different. So I want to align that perfectly with you. And he said, yeah, we will do that. When I heard that, I was happy enough to say, yeah, let's do it.
That's brilliant. You know, I love that, Alex. And I think I see too often in the grassroots game, OC, and in the academy game, I speak to a lot of parents and it feels like they're afraid to ask questions of coaches. And I find that mad. I find it mind-boggling, to be honest with you, because this is your child's development, just like in school. I would want to know how they're doing in maths. I would want to know how they're doing in English. I'd want to know how they're doing in science so that I can do my back-end support. But too often, I feel like there's too much trust. And I need to word this carefully because it sounds like you want to align. Is there such a thing as too much trust in the academy? I have a view of my son. You have a view of your son. I'm not saying that they're perfect, but sometimes academies can get it wrong. Do you think if they had got it wrong with your child, you would have spoken up, I guess, is the question I want to ask. Do you feel me, OC? Do you feel where I'm going with this? Because I think these are issues that I'm trying to get through some of the issues that parents raise to us, questions we get in the comments, or things we hear on the sideline that never really, people don't really talk about it and we don't get to deal with it. You get what I'm saying, Alex? And I think it's a perfect opportunity to do that with you.
I think most of the times they don't ask questions, they go in and challenge. They challenge the coaches and they challenge the academy and the structure like, I know better. When in fact, like, I don't know anything, but I want to find out. What is it that you're looking at? So, if you see something that doesn't align with you or it doesn't fit your son's style of play, because not everyone can fit into Arsenal. They want bowlers that they will be technical on the ball, where you might fit somewhere else. So if they don't do the right thing with your kid, can you spot it? And if you do, what are you going to do about it? And at the same time, if you have another 10 parents on the sidelines and everyone's complaining about something, is that really you that complain about something, or is it their idea that you're trying to get across?
Yeah. Do you know what? This little piece is so important because parents, like you say, parents, especially the football dads, that they might play a little bit. They think that they know. And what you said, I've heard so many stories this season, last season, many seasons, where you're hearing the animosity or the way that they're not asking questions, they're challenging. Do you understand? It's very much about that. And I also think there's something to the size of the academy as well, because some of those bigger academies, I touched on it last week, but it's almost like an institution where you feel like you're further back or away from engaging, but actually Desi is like completely right in terms of what you're saying. Sometimes parents feel like they don't want to come across and they don't want to ask so many questions because they feel like they're becoming a bit of an annoyance to the system. But with my little girl in school, we're going through the phonics stuff now and the reading, and like she has to like read so many words in like within a minute. And I'm asking questions to the teacher, and I'm like, so how is she doing here? What can I help her with at home? Same with my son, like
exactly, yes.
Here in maths. And listen, they'll say, oh, you don't really know what you're doing within the game because I've got the badge, you don't have the badge, I've got the experience, you don't have the experience. And listen, I know I've been to school in it, but some of the stuff that my boy comes home with, I'm like, this is a bit mad. But listen, what I'm saying is that as parents, we can support. So we're not all Alex, and we can't all take the information from the coach and just go out and do a session with him. But we can feed that back into their coaches and say, listen, this is the feedback that I've got. Can you help him with this? So I feel like there needs to be more of an open conversation and less of a fear, because I think you're right, Desi, in terms of what you're saying. There's almost like a fear to ask questions. Like, how would I be perceived? Am I perceived as that parent that is just the one that keeps asking questions and they're annoying, and then you feel like your son's now going to be sort of put on this blacklist because you're asking questions? But the idea is development and to support your child, but also to support the academy in developing your son or daughter. So yeah, it's such an important piece that you just spoke about there.
And you see how it links to school, because when you talk to the teacher or the head teacher, you talk nicely and you ask questions and you're not challenging anyone unless you felt that they've done a wrongdoing to your child. That's how it should be in football, because before he's a football player, like I say, he's a person, and you have the right to ask questions. Most of the academies, parents will say that they close the door onto them and they don't feel the contact. Contact to what? Like you need a friend to be on the phone on every day and get feedback on your son? That's not going to happen. It will never happen, because they got their own things going on and they're focusing on your child. They can't have a parent on the phone every single day. But can you ask questions and get feedback on what they're doing and how can you help him? Yeah, 100%. And I think as further as you progress and you go into 12, 13, 14, if your son needs more strength and conditioning, they will recommend you that. If they don't have the facilities to do that, like all the cat ones, they will tell you, you need to do that. So you go and pay an external one to improve him on that point.
Yeah, and sorry, there's something I wanted to raise, but there may be something as well, just being in a Cat 2 and a Cat 3 environment where it's just left us and there's just more engagement. There's more opportunity for you there's less coaches. You know that there's only one or two people that you're going to speak to, and you can probably... I'm not in the system, so I can't say it like that way, but I feel like there may be scope to build more personal and intimate relationships where it's less standoffish. Like, based on what I saw within the pre-academy, it was certainly like that, based on where my son was training, is what I would say.
Also, if it's your idea to ask question and it's something that you see, 100% go and ask. If it's some of the other parents and what they notice, just leave it to the side.
Yeah.
Because then you're just gonna carry the message from someone else and they're gonna realize that because maybe someone else said it the week before. Yeah. So if it's you and it's about your son and how can you help him, just go and ask questions. Well, again, ask a question, don't be challenging.
I'm glad you came in there because I forgot my question, but it's now come back to me. with your other boy, you said that he's 6. Is he under 6?
He's under 6, yeah. He just started kicking ball now, but he said, when am I going to play under 7? When am I going to play under 7? And with under 7 changing next year, I think it's going to be hard because they introduced that 3v3. And
What's your thoughts on that?
I've done my dissertation paper at university about football and all this thingy. And while Peter Sturgis went abroad and tried to bring some of the Spanish football here, there's one thing that he cannot bring, is the Spanish culture. You see kids in Spain, between 12 and 3 o'clock, they have siesta, which means time's off. So as a parent, you can go pick them up, go to the beach, go have lunch, or you leave them at school. Well, if you leave them at school, what are they going to do for 3 hours in the schoolyard? They're going to play ball unrestricted for 3 hours. They get more touches on the ball than we get in a training session in 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. And then when they finish school, they go and have a training session as well. So that unrestricted football throughout school will give you players like you see now. You think Lamine Yamal focused on 1v1 with other coaches? No, he was unrestricted football in the school. We can't have that here. You go, like, when I had my kid at school, they said we're not allowed to play football. They took the ball away from me. Like, why? You only have 20 minutes break or whatever it is. Just let the kids enjoy.
Yeah.
You look all over, everywhere, all the estates. What do you see on the wall? No ball games.
Yeah.
So where's the football? And especially if you come outside of London, where there's no cages, where are you going to play? Well, when you go to Spain, all the pitches are free. You find 3G pitches in Barcelona under a bridge, and people still play football there. You find futsal courts on the outside with people playing football there, all ages. And when you mix an under 7 with an under 10 with an under 11, you build all kinds of characters and techniques. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So you bring on to 3v3, you talk about this, you have one technical boy in that 3 team, the other 2 will not touch the ball.
Exactly. Osi, can I just throw a question into Alex? So 2 questions and then that's me done. The first question is, can you give us some other highlights in your dissertation? And the second question is, I hear in Europe, they're getting the kids to play 11-a-side from early. What's your stance on that? The sooner the better. I'm hearing kids in Europe are doing 11-a-side from 8, 9. And on one hand, people think that might be crazy, but Alex, as being from Europe as well, you've grown up in the game. What is your views? So you can link it with your answer. Yeah.
To go into the big formats, I don't remember myself to play a smaller format. So in Romania, you get scholarship at year 5.
Yeah.
Year 4 going into year 5. So you go as an year 5 into a football high school with bigger boys, and you mix up with under 11s, under 12s, under 13s, 14. Wow. And you play the same formats of the game. You only play small format like 5v5 or 7v7 while year 1 to 4, and then you move into the bigger formats. And going back to my dissertation, one of the highlights of my work, and I work with Tom and I work with lots of other coaches and fantastic scouts. Most of the grassroots coaches feel like they're not supported enough by the FA. And when you start doing some digging, you will find out that you can book CPDs, continuous professional development, and go and learn stuff if you want to. Some of them are online and are free. It only takes 2 hours of a time. Some of them you pay £10, I think they charge in, and you go into a live location for 3 hours with some great coaches that can give you some valuable insights. Only this month alone, I have 4 CPDs booked. And one of the pre-academy lead coach that signed my boy is going to work with SXFA now. We're keeping in touch, and I'm still booking and going to see what other coaches do. You meet coaches, developer that they work in pre-academy, so you get loads of insight, and at the same time you meet and you create a large connection of coaches with different values, different insight. Because when you go to CPDs, they will put some sessions and they will get everyone involved. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? So the support is there. They'll have to go and get it. No one's gonna come to you, grab you by your hand and say, let's do this. No one's gonna do that.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. I think parents checking on your coaches. Are they doing CPDs? Because that's for another podcast for me. But I have something about young coaches. Again, nothing. I think there's some talented young coaches, but part of me, and you can say because I'm from the school of hard knocks, I still think there's something about you got to do your time. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in shortcuts. And we'll talk about that in another podcast. But I do see a lot of coaches these days who literally have jumped from Earth to the moon in about a year. I don't know how that's possible because what did you know in a year? I feel like you got to do your time, but yeah, that's another podcast. Sorry, Osi, I just had to let that out before we wrap up.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, let me just drop a couple more questions. So 2 questions. First one is just in terms of your boy, he's just getting started in the game. What is the approach for him? Is it you want him in pre-academy, you want him signed at under 8 or 9, or you see how it goes with him?
I'm not gonna rush in any form or shape. Like, actually, tomorrow I'm gonna go and see Dave Brignell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take him there. Cause I talked to him. I talked to him. I said, "Have you got any under 7s coming?" He said, "Yeah, I've got 4 teams." So to think in context, how many teams you need to have now if you play 3v3, he's mad. So I'm gonna go see him tomorrow, and I'm just gonna let him enjoy whatever comes. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. He doesn't need to be a football player.
Okay. It's so interesting because I'm hearing it's not all at all costs for you, but certainly for your older son, it's just about investing into him, right? Holistically, but he has a dream of being a footballer, and you're supporting him on that as a good father would do. So
if you say to me that you're hungry and you want me to buy you food, I'll go buy some rice and chicken for you. But then if you don't eat it, I'm not gonna get you another one. You said you want that, that's what's gonna happen with me. Same with the boys. You wanna do football? I'm gonna help you, but do it the best of your ability. What else do you wanna do? He said, I wanna do, jiu-jitsu. I took him there, he tried for a little bit, then said, that's not for me. But I'll give him a go. I'll let him do it, and then if he wants to do it, I'll give all my effort to support him. Because I gave up loads of my earnings just to be in this journey. And while people were saying, oh, Academy is free, it's not like that. When you have a game where you travel 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you have a meetup at 8:30, will you wake up that kid at 6 o'clock, or will you be in the kitchen at 5 o'clock cooking for him proper food, or do you go book a hotel to stay overnight? So that academy journey is not free. It comes at a cost. And in perspective, for myself, what I used to do in a week, I'm doing in a month now. All that taking a toll. But if he wants to do that, I'm all gonna support him. I'm gonna be supportive of that.
Yeah, I hear you, and I commend that. I think my last question is just in terms of yourself. Obviously, come across really well. I would suggest, and I think the audience would agree. Certainly, Dadgy does. But just in terms of your pathway and your coaching, what is it that you're looking to achieve? Because I know you're in balance. I think you also work with Chelsea as well, don't you? So I'm just trying to understand what it is that you're looking to achieve within the game, personally.
I'm studying the game at the moment. I'm a student of the game, and I want to learn as much as possible. And if I can bring that to the youth generations, that they go through my hands, I will bring it so. I turned down some opportunities within the college program at Chelsea and some of their advance just to stay with the kids I have at Balance now, just because Kenza gave me the freedom to take these kids my way and what I want to do with them. So I want my kids to be brave and create the goal scoring opportunities, but at the same time, going back to Deji, not here. When does it stop becoming enjoyment? I want them to enjoy the game. I don't want them to be the kids that I saw today at the tournament crying because their coach is shouting at them and it's not enjoyable because they want to get the win as opposed to them just enjoying the football. That's what I say, because you asked me how was my day. It was good. We won the tournament, but I didn't go home with the trophy. What I went home with is that kid that cried on the pitch because his coach took him off. And he said he doesn't want to come because he just came on. He said, no, you're not playing good enough. You're coming off. I'm going to sub you. So, is he going to still love football next year or the year after? Will he want to come and join another tournament? I don't want to do that with my kids. I want them to love football and play it freely. All my parents are quiet on the sidelines, and if they come out maybe once or twice, I'll tell them, let them play. That's pretty much it. They express themselves, they enjoy the ball. For some of the parents it's important, and I see it, that they want to make it to pre-academy, academy. For some it's just the journey. I know it's that 1% that make it, or 0.001%. But I think the others are not making it because they fall out of love with football. What are we gonna do about that? What are we gonna do? Well, what are we gonna do about the rest of 99.999%? Because they have the same technical ability. They love the game at the beginning, but I think they drop out just because of coaches. It's not the right environment.
Is it? Sorry, Alex, just to cut you, and we are wrapping up now. Is it coaches or parents? Because sometimes I think, have the parents set up their kids? What do I mean by that? Look, I think parents would be lying, those who are part of this podcast, and I would even argue those in the academy. You'd be lying if you haven't heard the whispers. The whisper, that person isn't good enough. How comes that person's getting more minutes than this player? Why? There's an obsession for me with Argentina in the Echo League. It's almost a disease, where parents are prepared to have their child play 5 minutes of Argentina football, then play 60 minutes of Brazil or Croatia football. Now, you hear people like you talk about it's touches. What say you? Because we're talking about that, but is it because maybe that coach is, and I think coaches are harboring some sort of kind of animosity towards parents, where it's like they want you to see that your child isn't quite on the level. You're not seeing it for whatever reason, so we're going to give you less minutes. It might not necessarily be that, but could it also be some of that you saw today, Alex, in a way? And then your thoughts on that, and then
It's a package, Deji. It's a package with parents and coaches doing the same stuff. Hence why our parents, they carry our values. Same like in the academy. They call you a hot parent. That's how you label. If you're a hot parent, they're not going to take your boy because they don't want to deal with you and they don't want to deal with the kid. And then if you're a hot parent, the conversation that you have in the car with your missus or with your friend or with your brother, your kid's going to hear it and they're going to carry that on the pitch. So if you talk to someone, if I give you a call tomorrow and I talk to you in the car and I say, oh, this played the whole game, he didn't do well, I think he could have passed more. Your kid's going to hear that, and when he goes to training and he goes to game, he's not going to give him the ball anymore. He's not going to love being friends with him anymore. So his parents and coaches, how do you balance that as parents? What's your conversation with the coach? What's your conversation with the kids? How do you balance that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why I say I'm a student of the game. I'm trying to help these kids. And whoever came and worked with me, I never charged a penny. I said, bring him to me 6 weeks. I want to see who he is, why he needs improving. And if you don't see that I can help him we shake hands and we part ways. If you see that I can help him, we carry on working together. I'm not on a journey to try and rip people off, or I want to help these kids as much as possible, because I wanted to have a coach like myself when I was a kid. I remember we used to go, last time we went to Austria, we had some training camp in the mountains, and I was beaten up by my coach if I wasn't listening up. I don't want that. That's how I fell out of love with football. It wasn't enjoyable anymore. So it's the same for these kids. Parents and coaches, if you have a coach that can put a stop to the parents, they're going to have the liberty to express themselves.
You know what, Alex? Thank you for sharing that. You're a real one. I say that because in my personal life, I set up my organization to provide opportunities that I wish I had. And so the way that I structure my work is to do things for young people in a way that if I was in their shoes, I would have benefited. And so for you to say that you're willing to do 6 weeks of training, it shows me that you're genuinely about the person. And I always say to people, it's about you need to be about the person first, and everything else will follow, not the other way around. So respect to you for that. I've never had the opportunity to ask this question because this normally is Andrew's thunder, but unfortunately Andrew is not feeling well, and wishing Andrew a speedy recovery. Can't believe it's taken us an hour and a half. Obviously, that's going to be a slap on the wrist for both of us that we've just done that. But you know about the four corners, obviously. So please give us your percentages for the four corners.
I think socially is a big part for me. That I would put that on a 50%, because I can see if kids are not bonding together and they're not gluing together, they're not gonna play ball together. So that's why some of the academies, they take the boys into games. They are ball boys. They take them to climbing. They take them to international tournaments. It's all about the social aspect of the game. Technical, tactical is the second part for me, and the most important one. So socially is the biggest one, then technical, tactical, then the rest of it will follow.
I think you're the only one that's had social the highest. Usually socials gets the lowest. Like Alex is completely flipped down his head. He's like, what, social? And you know what? I say that. My guy Martin, he will attest, and Lash as well. I had a conversation with them, and I was just talking to them about our boys and Dan and Andrew, and I said, if we can get our boys together, it's not about one individual boy, it's about all of our boys. And I coined this phrase where I said, you can unlock the Super Saiyan. Like, they can go blonde because they're playing at a level where they're just going to unlock doors. But if we're doing this kind of silo working, it's selfish, you're dribbling, not passing, not doing the right thing, it's just rubbish, and no one unlocks. And so I'm hoping at some point I have an opportunity to put my son with individuals like the ones you've described, where socially they connect so well that they just unlock this hidden door, which I believe exists, and I believe it can be unlocked. It needs to be unlocked with the right people, with the right ones.
Sorry, just quickly. So I just want the numbers though, Alex. So you put 50% for social. What numbers are you putting against the psychological, the physical, and the tech and tech?
50% on the social one. Physical. You're in England. I like little players, so it doesn't matter for me. I'll put 50% there, 20% on the psychological part, because I like that part. That's 70. Technical 20%, and then 10% on the physical.
Respect.
So psychological, that's how I work with the kids. That's how I ask them questions on the pitch. What can you see? Where you're on the ball, how can I make you raise your head up? What can you see? You look, then you make a decision. I'm not telling you to pass or to shoot. What can you see? Psychological, how do we work this? Yeah, you get a bad tackle. Are you feeling alright? They cry and I say, I can't help if you cry. He's gonna calm down and he's gonna tell me his problems. Are you alright to carry on? If not, I'm happy for you to sit to the sidelines a little bit. What do you want to do? Some wants to sit on the sidelines, some wants to carry on. It will never be my decision. So that's my percentages, yeah. 50, 20, 20, 10.
I like it. I like it.
Okay. Alex, thank you, man. What an amazing Academy series, which was a different kind of Academy series. It was more like question and answers, really, getting you to unpick some of the most difficult questions. But you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. And again, balance, man, doing some real big things. I just feel like they're just different as a club. All of you that have come on here just give a different perspective.
Yeah.
So just keep up the good work and what you're doing, and obviously keep up the good work with your son as well. Good luck to him. And
that's thanks to Kenza, because he knows who to bring around. We're a bunch of coaches. Like when we put on a session, we share it in a group chat and we give our opinion on what is gonna work and what is not gonna work. Same with the social aspect and everything. And I will thank him from the bottom of my heart. And also, he's the one that put me in this journey. That's why I went over Amardon and Tiptree and took the under-18s with him. And I enjoyed the bigger format as much as I enjoyed the small one. And some of the times I feel like you need to work with the bigger ones. Same fundamentals and fun that you have with the small ones. Because you say, when does he stop to become enjoyable?
Yeah.
It's when we take the fun out of it. Why wouldn't you run a fun drill at the beginning, like a head football, where you pass the ball by calling names and running into space, and at the same time you learn positioning and you learn that when someone comes close to you, you can release it, and then you introduce a ball and it becomes nice.
For real.
So you can do it all in the groups. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me.
No, big up to you, man. Big up. No, thank you. And look, people, please, the comments have been coming in thick and fast. Please comment your thoughts, questions we should have asked Alex that maybe when we get Alex on the show again, we'll make sure that we get in the next time round. So your thoughts and comments, please keep them coming through. Obviously, please like, subscribe, share, and give suggestions. You know, what other areas do you want us to kind of delve in to as well? We will love that. Alex, as customary, we always ask our guests to suggest a guest that recommends someone who we should maybe speak to. I don't think we've had anyone from Colchester on here, I don't think. But yeah, have you got anyone in mind that you think, you know what, guys, this person would be good for you guys to have?
There is someone here that I'm looking up to and I'm very close friend with, and I'm working with him now at the minute. He's on Ireland international. He played for Brentford, he played for Ipswich, he played for Colchester, and I'm working with him now, and I'm forever grateful. Will be Alan Judge.
Alan Judge, okay. And do you think he would join us on this show?
I think so. He's got so much. If you want to talk about the game, he's your man. If you want to talk about coaching, he's your man, because he started his journey with us. Yeah. You can get different perspective. You can see it at the international level. You can see it at the club level. He's got his boy at the academy. You can get it from all sides. Yeah. And I'm sure Tom will give a thumbs up and he will like to jump on it on that one.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. We'll hold you to that. Let's get him on. That would be awesome. And then I guess brilliant work. I can't think of anything else. OC, is there any other final thoughts?
No, listen, we covered so much ground today. I knew Alex would be a top guest and didn't disappoint. I think just, I don't normally say it, but what resonates to me across all of it is just the game's there for the kids to enjoy. It's just there for the kids to enjoy, and I think you drop so many gems, but that's just something that I will leave with this one. It's there for the kids. Let them enjoy it.
Well, listen, if your son would have done tennis or rugby or gymnastics, you wouldn't say anything. You would just take him there and give it to the coaches and let him play. Why is this so different?
It's a good point. It's because we've been watching movies and they want it so bad. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's true. I think it's true. I think we need to. I worry. I think Phil mentioned this, but I do worry about the mental health of our kids when they hit 16. Not because I do feel that the game is going in the wrong direction, grassroots wise, and I feel that if we're not careful, there could be a damaged group of children because of the parents. And I say this, and it's for another pod, but Alex will get you on. I think the cheating from parents at grassroots has become disgraceful. It's a disgrace now, and the parents now we're interfering so much that I actually think the kids are not developing. I think they're regressing. And I think parents need to look in the mirror and think, what are you here for? Are you here for yourself or are you here for the kid? Because if you're cheating in terms of offsides, if you're cheating in terms of deliberately giving wrong decisions, who are you kidding?
I can't believe there's still people out there taking joy from stealing from the kids, whether it's an offside or a foul or a handball or like. For you to have something like that brings you joy, you're a wrong one.
The parents are shaking their bum on winning on foul results. I'm just letting you know, shaking. They don't give a damn. They've won 2-1 on the weekend. They don't care how they got the win. It's a win. They're top of the group. I say no more. I say no more.
Listen, we had a team that came over and play us. They wanted a friendly. They contacted me. I realized afterwards who they were and why they come. And we played ball and they asked 2 of their players to goal hang next to my goalkeeper. And they beat us. But I never at any point told my players to go and mark them. That's not realistic. Play your halfway line. Play your football. If they kick long one and they score, I'm not going to say anything. And I told the parents the same thing. That's not realistic to the game. If they kick a long ball in behind, what are they going to do when they go to 9-a-side? And then for the other team, you kick it long, it's not realistic. You don't develop them, you teach them bad habits. And at the same time, by kicking it long, you strip away the development from the other boys because they don't learn how to play with the ball.
On that note, let those apples sink in. Unless you wanted to say something, OC, but yeah, I just wanted to just throw that out there real quick.
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, Alex, thank you very much. OC, thank you. We've been Ball at All Costs, and we're out.
Thank you.